Guys, what's going on? This is Matt with Real Talk with Matt MILACK. Now we're about to get rocking on this podcast. Brandon Pertzborn, the drummer of Black Flag, is back. Brandon, what is up, dude?
Hey, man, how's it going? Just finally back home after a long tour. Just trying to get back to having a normal life after being on the road for so long.
Oh, my gosh, I can only imagine. How was the tour, man?
It's been good. It was cool because so far this year, I had the first 3 months off, which was the first time I've had off time in probably 3 to 4 years. So it was 3 months at home, just, getting back to home life. And then we did a U.S. tour after that, and then we did a European tour. And then I was about to go out doing a run with Avenged Sevenfold, opening for them, and literally the day before we were supposed to fly out, that got canceled due to their singer's voice. Something's going on with his voice, and I think he needed to go on vocal rest for 3 months, and so literally that got canceled the day before, which is kind of crazy because it was about to be a 6-week tour, and you mentally prepare yourself to leave home for 6 weeks. It's kind of a lot to prepare yourself for, and then literally like 6 hours before the flight, it got yanked. So it's like, whoa, I'm gonna be home for 6 weeks now. Wow, I was prepared to leave. So that happened, and then so we had another month off then, and then we just got back from Japan, which was just incredible. I think that's been my favorite place yet I traveled to so far.
What's something crazy you did in Japan?
Dude.
Did you go to like any temples or anything?
We did go to a temple, yeah, in a town called Kyoto, and dude, it's just nothing like it. I mean, you see the stuff in movies and stuff, but until you're there in person, dude, it's just jaw-dropping. I think the temple is like 1,400 years old. Just absolutely beautiful. So we did that in Kyoto. We also went to Osaka, Nagoya, and Tokyo. And, dude, it's amazing. I think I'm going to move there.
I can only imagine, man. I mean, I know for myself right now, I know I would be running around in the temple imagining that I was Indiana Jones in my head.
Exactly.
That's what I would be doing, most definitely. But that's crazy, man. You went... Because I remember the last podcast we did, the first one, you were on tour. Were you in Europe?
I remember that, actually. I was in, where was I? I think I was in Slovakia. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so definitely, yeah. Was that last summer, I think?
It was.
Yeah, last summer. Yep, so that was like a 2-month Europe tour, and then, so pretty much been cranking since then. A couple months off time, but been going at it since then.
That's wild, man. So you're traveling all over these, different countries, and do you notice just a different type of acceptance of the music when you go to a different, per se, country? If you go from Slovakia to Japan, is there a difference in people just welcoming you and the band?
Yeah, I'd say there is. Really in Europe, for the most part, Europe just... I think they appreciate it a whole lot more, especially the more heavy punk type stuff. They appreciate a lot more than people do in the States. I'm not saying people don't appreciate it in the States, because we have a great time in the States and we love everyone here. But when we go to Europe, it's just on a whole different level for some reason. Even from just if people even on the street see you're in a band, oh, what band are you? And oh, that's so cool. Where are you from? And they're just so thankful to have you over there. And that was really evident when we went to Japan. They were just the number one thing I could describe the people with was just how thankful they were. Just thankful that we would go over there and play for them. And it's funny, even at the end of the shows, we go out to the merch table and we talk to them and take photos and whatnot. And they're all so respectful. They all stand in a line, quiet and politely. And then when it's their turn, they say, "Oh, can I please have a photo?" And they're, "Oh, thank you so much." And it's so cool because they don't take music for granted. They don't take shows for granted, and they're just so happy to have it in their hometown.
Now, Brandon, when you're experiencing that, I could see you, man, just being an extremely welcoming guy. I could see you staying there. I mean, unless you like urgently have to leave, I could see you trying to get a picture with everybody who wants one.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I like doing it. I love doing it. Anyone who wants a photo, more so than just photos or signing things. I just like having a good conversation with people. That's the best time when that occurs, when someone comes up and it's, hey, I had a question about this, or hey, what do you think about this, or how'd you learn how to do this? Those type of conversations I love more than just, oh, quick, sign this thing really quick, or hey, quick, take a photo really quick. I appreciate more so, having a real connection.
Oh my gosh, it's like John Bonham. You know what I mean? Like you're like the laid back, easy going. I'll make it happen. I'm here for the good time, and I'm here for the belief system. That's something that like I kind of adapted to, and kind of like really came to the realization of if you truly love something, it doesn't even matter. I guess the benefit comes afterwards. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Totally. Yep. Totally.
And I feel like it's just something where if you truly love it and you love what you're doing, I mean, we touched on this in the first podcast, it doesn't really matter with what types of, hoops that you're going to have to jump through. You're going to do it just because you're on that straight and narrow. You're on the road to success.
Oh, you have, like you said, man, you have to love it because, dude, there's too many obstacles. I mean, what I mean by obstacles is there's no reason you would pursue this path if you didn't love it. Not saying it's, the hardest job out there, because it's not. But what I mean is, man, just when you're starting out, even just learning how to play an instrument, it's every day of just grinding. And then after that, it's every day of just going out and meeting people. Then after that, it's following through with those connections. And then, putting yourself in uncomfortable scenarios. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me, is how many uncomfortable scenarios I've been in where it's just, I mean, I've been in scenarios where it's, hey, you're just sitting in a studio, just spectating, just watching other people record. And then, oh, hey, Brent, you play drums? Cool. Hey, how about go sit down and crank this track out really quick? And you're thinking, oh, shoot, I don't know this song. Or it's just, there's a lot of those uncomfortable scenarios, but you only grow by doing that. My point is, yeah, you have to love it to, be doing this. Because if you don't love it, it's not going to happen. You have to totally be in love with it and be doing it every day and be putting yourself in those uncomfortable scenarios.
I totally agree with you, and it's so funny how you say it. I told you before, I got an electric guitar, man.
Oh yeah, how's that going?
It's wild. It's a journey. It's definitely a journey.
I started learning guitar. So I've played drums, I think, I don't know, about 10 years now, and I started learning guitar about 3 years ago or so, and it's definitely a journey, like you said.
It's wild. So I walk into the Guitar Center. I was working from home on it was Labor Day. It was Monday. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening to Billy Squier and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, you know what? Like, I've been wanting to get an electric guitar now for like a long time. And I love rock. I love classic rock. I want to learn to play the electric guitar. I want to be the Eddie V, or I mean, it's those are the guys I've always looked up to. So I go down to the Guitar Center and I'm like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna go get it. So I blast Van Halen and Def Leppard the whole way down. I walk in and I'm just starstruck, dude. I'm like, I don't know anything about guitars. This guy comes up to me. He says, what are you looking for? Starts rattling off all these names, and I'm just there, and I'm just like, okay, I'm new, man. I'm very new. And just after that, another guy comes up, says, try this on for size. He says, let me spit some song out of it. And then he wants me to follow up after he basically just did an entire solo on his own.
Dude, that is terrible. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I hate going to Guitar Center. I absolutely hate it, because they do the same thing for me with drums, and I've been playing for over 10 years, and still they rattle off all these names, and I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, dude. And I do this every day, and I play for 10 years. So I can't even imagine going in there as a beginner, just trying to pick up an instrument, and then that's what they're doing. It's not right, man.
There were so many people. One, I was like, okay, like I might be okay. Like there might not be too many people in there on Labor Day. And I go in, the guy plugs into the amp. They have like, how like Guitar Center, they have like the community of amp, you know what I mean? Amps and stuff, all just kind of like in a square.
Yeah.
Turns it all the way up, just starts shredding. Everybody's watching this guy. I think the manager was pissed that he was doing it. And then he hands it over to me, and he's just like, yeah, try this on for size. Just, have some fun with it. And I'm just like, I don't know any chords yet, dude. I'm gonna look like a total idiot right now.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, that's exactly why I avoid going there.
But it's been a process, man. It's been wild. I'm learning the chords. I'm left-handed. That's my thing.
Okay.
So that kind of hurt me a little bit. I tried the right-handed guitar on for size. It didn't work. Did not feel comfortable at all. I said I'm going to try a left-handed one. I ended up getting a Stratocaster. Love it. And yeah, man. I mean, it's been going great. I'm learning to play like the intros of Back in Black, Highway to Hell, stuff where there's like some repetition in chords. You know what I mean?
Totally. Have you learned power chords?
I have not.
Okay, just Google power chords or YouTube it. That will change your life on guitar. It's so easy. It's just one shape, and you can move it anywhere and pretty much play any rock song. Just look it up and you get a chance. You'll see.
Unreal. That's what I'm noticing too, is that these guys, you know, a lot of the chord, especially because like I told you, I'm a huge fan of, 80s rock and 70s rock. It seemed like a lot of the chords were very repetitive.
Yeah. Look at power chords. It's only 2 fingers, dude, and it's pretty much you'll see. You can pretty much get through any song playing power chords. Rock song at least.
That's wild. That's so crazy. I mean, it's a cool feeling though. You know, I mean, having it in your hand and kind of just zenning out a little bit and just playing the guitar and just learning a song. And I feel, you know, when I was playing Highway to Hell, it was the and then when I got the flip from it might have been from E to D, and then, like the back and forth, it was the coolest feeling in the world when I heard it. You know, when I actually heard it, and I was like, wow, this sounds as they would do it in the song. So it's like one step at a time, I feel like.
Oh, I can totally relate to that. Like I was just playing piano earlier today, and I was learning some piano stuff, and each additional chord I got that, you know, added on to the song that I was learning, it's just the best feeling in the world. You know, and it's like nowadays when I'm home, I still play drums every day, but I play guitar and piano more just because I'm still at the beginning phase where every little thing you learn is absolutely massive. You know, even when you like, oh, shoot, I just learned a D chord. That's massive. That's the biggest thing in the world at that moment, you know?
Yeah.
So, and it's just cool playing a melodic instrument, you know, additional to drums. You know, drums is great. I'll play that to the day I die. I love it. But, man, be able to play a melodic instrument also, it's just the greatest feeling in the world. I love it.
What does melodic mean?
Like it's actual notes, you know, there's a scale on piano and guitar, it goes A to G. And, you know, for example, another cool thing is that relates how it's melodic is someone said, if you play a song on the guitar, someone can go, oh, that's that song by, you know, the Beatles or this or that. That's a little harder to do with drums. You know, drums is just percussion. So you can play a beat, but it might be harder for someone to say, oh, I know that exact song if they're just an everyday listener, you know. But if you pull out the guitar and you play the intro to, I don't know, call it Rock and Roll Band by Boston, you know, they're going, oh, that's Rock and Roll Band by Boston. If you play the drum beat, you know, they might not know it. So that's cool for me, just being able to play a song and people knowing it immediately, you know. And it's like just the campfire jam thing, you know, you can just pull out a guitar, you know, 4 chords, and you can pretty much play any song that people love. That's fun to me. That's what I'm into right now.
I wanted to ask you, you know, I mean, rattling off the songs and just knowing how much talent and incredible performance goes into making the sound, do you believe that with any instrument, you know, and any musician, specific musicians are given specific talents? You know, like, I mean, not saying that they're not working and grinding, you know, but do you feel that there's, I don't know, it's like, it's weird, man. It's like a supernatural-esque type of thing, you know what I mean? It's very strange because I'll be watching on YouTube Eddie V busting out animal sounds, an elephant, a horse, anything with his guitar, you know, playing it with a power drill, and then, I mean, Rick Allen drumming with one arm. It's incredible. You know, it's so rare. And I mean, there's so many more incredible musicians, you know, you being one of them. Do you feel like that's just something that came as second nature?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I do think about that all the time. And I don't know the answer for it. I do think different people are gifted at different things, obviously, but I don't know, because at the same time, I'm the same as you. I watch, for example, I watch these gospel drummers on YouTube who are just doing these crazy gospel chops at a million miles an hour. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking, okay, I could sit down every day for hours and learn the exact sticking they're doing and learn, the exact, go up to the speed they're doing it at, but it's not going to sound exactly like them. It's not going to have the same feel they have. And yeah, I do think people are born with different gifts and people are born with different feels. I don't know, but I know also at the same time, those people who, the best out of the best, I know they still practice every single day for hours. I don't know. Maybe some people are just born better. I'm not sure because, YouTube's kind of becoming a bad thing for me. Even just watching clips on Instagram of these crazy good drummers, because I start thinking, why can't I do that? I'm never going to be as good as that. And then I don't know. I've kind of been in a hole sometimes just watching all these crazy good musicians on YouTube and stuff. And then I don't know. It's just like, dang, I'm never going to be that good. Because the thing is, on YouTube, there's 6-year-old drummers who are way better than you're ever going to be. You're like 20 something years old and you can find a 6-year-old who's just killing it. So yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I think it's just so wild too that the story of a band or a specific musician, how it kind of takes its toll. You know what I'm saying? I was reading an article. I keep touching on Van Halen. That's my favorite band. Gene Simmons discovered them. I never knew that. And that's what the article stated, that Gene Simmons discovered them in a bar. And he wanted his label to sign them. Label refuses because they thought that they would never be successful. And then Gene Simmons, still believing in them, helps them out with a demo tape. Boom. Immediately they're signed by another label. It's wild how doubt of one person could alter somebody's whole life. Gene Simmons sticking around, not to say that if he wasn't there, but him sticking around, helping them create their demo tape, now they'll go down in history as one of the best bands ever, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. And props on Gene for being able to see that early on, because obviously the label didn't see it, so it's not like everyone saw it. So props on Gene for seeing that. And dude, you're so right. That's why I was saying, as a musician and as bands, you have to take every single opportunity and get out there, because it takes one person to see you and change the whole course of your career. And a big thing for me early on was I would take so many jobs that didn't pay anything, and I would wrestle with it in my head and think, dang, I'm not getting paid. I'm using gas money to go out there. I'm using my gear. I'm using my time. I'm learning it. That takes time at home. And I'm doing all these jobs. I'm not even getting paid for it. I'm like, that's not right, But then you think, it's like, man, look at all these opportunities I'm getting, even though I'm volunteering my time. It's just you're getting out there, meeting people. And, I see a lot of people say now, as a beginner, only take paid jobs. And I 100% disagree with that, exactly because of a reference with the Gene Simmons Van Halen situation. It's like, just get yourself out there, because it only takes one person to change it for you.
Now, when you were kind of dealing with that, because it's funny you say that, would you ever, per se, if you're driving home from a gig that's non-paid, are you kind of saying to yourself in your own head, I do this a lot, that's why I'm asking, are you kind of saying to yourself in your own head, this is part of my story. This is a page of my story that one day I will tell, and I will be able to give advice and guidance to people who are trying to get to where they want to be?
Dude, all the time. To be honest, it was a much more frequent thought a couple of years ago when I was really grinding it out before I had any good opportunities. Dude, all the time, thinking even to when I first moved out to LA about 3 or 4 years ago. When I moved out here, I didn't know anyone, dude. Anyone in the industry, any musician. I maybe knew one, maybe two at most. So I was taking absolutely any opportunity I could get, whether it was paid or not. And, I look back, sometimes I scroll back on my calendar, on my phone and go years back. And like, what was I doing 4 years ago? Just curious. And dude, I was doing like 5 rehearsals a day, and then I would do a show at 8 p.m., pack up at 9:30, go to another show at midnight, and then repeat the next day. And I'm just, and, you know, it's such a grind. I mean, there were times where I would have a show, like I said, at 8 p.m. I would get done at 9, pack up at 9:30, and then I would literally go to the next venue, sleep in my car, and play from like midnight to 3 in the morning. Because, you know, it's the bar stuff. You know, you're just doing cover songs. So all the time, I think, obviously, this isn't the end goal, but it's just, you know, it's a notch on the whole journey, you know, and, you know, it takes every notch on the journey to add up to the end goal. So, dude, I think about that all the time.
I agree with you, man, and I think it's such a weird thing too, because it's so wild because it's hard to explain. It's just something, how I was asking you before, you know, do you believe if certain musicians are given certain talents right off the bat? I do personally feel that certain people are given the belief system and the feeling behind the belief system. And I feel like without that feeling of knowing that you're actually going to do something or you're going to accomplish, or you feel that love for what you're doing, I feel like you're not going to succeed.
Totally, dude. That's so true. Unless you just, you know, unless you put, I don't know, like, I'm not saying, dude, first of all, I love Justin Bieber, so I'm not putting a hit on him at all. What I'm saying is, unless you just throw up a cover on YouTube and you blow up, because there's people like that now, man, who just, you know, like the American Idol thing, where just all of a sudden they get on a show and then boom, they're the next biggest thing. Man, to me, that's not the organic right way to do it. You need to go through all the hard times. You need to grind, you doing years of that, and then gradually build your way up. Because if you just are an overnight success, man, first of all, you're not going to have any perspective to know, wow, I came from a long way down there, and look where I am now. That was a whole lot of work. Man, I can't imagine just overnight just getting to, you know, the end goal and just not having any of the perspective. The perspective is what changes everything for me. And even now where I'm at, by no means am I at an end goal or anything, but even just thinking, you know, before I moved to LA and where I am now, just holy crap, look at all that I've had to gone through to get here, you know, and it makes you thankful for that.
And is it even still surreal for you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it 100%. I mean, yeah, I think about it a lot. Just, oh my goodness, I'm paying my bills from playing music.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, when I think about it, it's absolutely surreal to me. I don't feel like I deserve it. You know, it's crazy. If you would have told me this, you know, 5-6 years ago, I would not have believed you that, you know, my job would be playing music and, you know, traveling the world. So yeah, it's still surreal to me, and I hope it always is, you know, because if there ever becomes a day where it's not surreal to me anymore, I don't know if it's worth doing it anymore, because then it's not special anymore.
I hear you, man, and I feel like it's just something behind others trying to do something specifically for, like, per se a success reason. And yeah, you know, obviously some of the time we'll succeed, and who knows whether or not some of the time or all the time. But then I look at guys like Kurt Cobain, I look at guys like Tom Petty, and I just say I have a feel inside me that just says that these guys were doing it just because they love doing it. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, 100%. I was just talking about that with someone about John Frusciante, who played guitar for the Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
And I've read a lot of stuff on him, and he never, you know, necessarily wanted the band to get big. He never wanted to play arenas, never wanted to play huge venues. He wanted to play and have the connection with people in clubs. And once, you know, like Kurt Cobain, when they got to a bigger level, when Chili Peppers started playing arenas, it was really uncomfortable for him, and he didn't like it. He felt like he was doing it for the wrong reason, so he quit the band. Dude, that is the most rock and roll thing to me. That is the most punk rock thing to me, saying, I don't want to get big. I don't want to play arenas. Oh, we got there? That doesn't feel right to me. I'm going to quit and just, you know, play music, and, you know, that's what makes me happy. And to me, that's being in it. That's not my take. If I can play arenas and sell that out, personally, I'm going to do that. But I have so much respect for people when it's clear they're not in it for the fame and they're not in it for the money. They're in it purely for the music. I respect that so much.
And it's so wild how you say that about what Kurt did. I mean, some of his top quotes, I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. Wanting to be someone else is a waste of time, a waste of the person you are. The sun is gone, but it has the light. It's so wild with just, he knew what he was going after.
Totally. Yeah. And, the thing about Kurt is that, people should learn from, and from other people as well. So many people think that, and I can't even speak for myself because I haven't even been nowhere near the level that obviously Kurt Cobain was at. But it's apparent that when you get to that level, it doesn't make you happier. It doesn't solve your problems. It doesn't solve your issues. It doesn't make you any better. You still have the same problems that you had. You still have the same issues. And it doesn't fulfill you anymore. I think that's something that I look at over and over when I see, like Chris Cornell, Kurt Cobain, all these people. It's like, man, these people at the top of the game, they're no different than anyone else. They're just people. And for some people, for some reason, it seems like a lot of people think that when you get famous, when you get successful, it's going to make your life better. And, it's sad that you see over and over that's not the case.
That's such an excellent point, and it's a thought that I've been pondering, Brandon, for a long time, is that I was always saying to myself, what if I was ever to become famous, and would I be completely satisfied? Would my mind be altered? Would it be completely changed? And it wouldn't, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's something where everything else that then you're dealing with at that point in time just replicates what you were dealing with in the past. You know what I mean?
Dude, it's so true. Before I started touring, I would tell myself, dude, if I could just get on a tour and get with a band, I think everything would be all right. Like I'd be good. I could die happy. And then you go on it, and then that happens, and I'm so fortunate for that. And I would never change it for anything. But it happens, and then, man, I'm still the same person. I still have the same problems. Man, if I could just move to LA and then do it for a full-time living, I think everything would be fine. Then that happens, man, still the same person, still the same problems. Man, if I could just play a sold-out arena, I think I'll be fine. I think everything will be better. Play a sold-out arena, everything's still the same.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild. And I think it all, man, it just carries back into that whole belief thing. I feel like just then it comes back and you face it and you say, okay, I'm getting hit with all this negative right now. I'm getting hit with some negative, and I'm kind of pondering like, shit, like why is this not making me happy? And then I feel like boom, it hits you at a random point in time and you say, okay, wait, what's making me happy is that I'm doing what I love doing.
Yeah, exactly. So that has to be the foundation of it all. You're doing it because you love playing music. It's like, man, it's like, say if you're in high school and you're playing football and you get cut from the football team. If you really love playing football and that's what you want to do, even though you got cut from the team, you're still going to be playing football. You're still going to be playing with your friends in your backyard trying to get better, and then going to the gym every day to work on it. It's like, because you love it, that you have the foundation. You weren't trying to be on the football team just to, be the cool guy in school. So, that's what I tell everyone is you have to do it because you love it. You can't do it because you want fame or this and that, because, dude, that's not, that's going to be cool for a little bit, but that's going to wear off quickly.
Absolutely, man. And it's wild, too, just to see some of these guys who have come and gone who have had such a following. You know what I mean? And it's just from them being themselves. I mean, we're looking at Malcolm Young, who was running around with a cutoff, like a black denim shirt, jeans, old school 20s hat. Angus, who's jumping around with gym shorts on and black sneakers that I don't know where he bought them from, with white socks. These guys, you could tell that they are doing it not because they're setting a PR thing. They're doing it because they just love making music, and it's just another type of day for them, I feel like.
Oh, it's just in their blood, 100%. Yeah, I was just talking about AC/DC because I was.
You got
touring.
like a telepathy, dude. I love it, man. It's pretty wild.
Oh, it's great. But yeah, I was touring with this Australian band, and we were just talking about AC/DC, and dude, they are just literally the definition of rock and roll. So I will always have a place in my heart for AC/DC. They are,
They were from Australia?
Yeah, they're Australian, yeah.
You going to tell me it's airborne?
But, what's crazy to me about them being Australian is that when I grew up, to me they seemed like such an American band. when I found out they were Australian years ago, I couldn't believe it. It was, I mean, it's awesome. But yeah, dude, that to me, that's the definition of rock and roll. Just everything about them is pure rock and roll.
That is what. But wait, were you touring with Airborne?
No, I wasn't talking with Airborne. It was
I thought that.
No, I was not touring with Airborne. That'd be cool.
Too much, too young, too fast.
Yeah. Yep.
That's wild though, man. And I never knew they were either. I remember a friend in middle school or something said it's the best thing to come out of Australia, and I was just like, oh my god, like this is so wild. And you watch some of the funny clips. Oh my god, it's hilarious. There was something. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was back in the 80s that they had, like Van Halen, AC/DC, Kiss and it was in Germany, I think. I'm looking to see where exactly it was. There's a video I got. Shoot. It was... Oh, shit. I can't find it, but it was one of the coolest videos I ever watched, and it's just so funny to hear them like go back and forth to each other. You got Alex Van Halen and David Lee Roth sitting on the couch, and David's just being very nice, and Alex isn't saying anything, and David's just being very sincere and kind of going on and on and on. And then you get AC/DC, and they say, how are you going to fare against bands like Van Halen? Does it intimidate you? And Angus Young just goes, Van who? and it's just
amazing.
Too funny, man.
It's incredible.
It's funny. It's like this is just everything that they had going on and how they were seeing it too. And how I remember when I was younger, I would go up to my dad and I'd say, Dad, are you a big fan of Poison? And maybe my dad wasn't. My dad was more of a fan of Zeppelin, The Doors, AC/DC, Molly Hatchet, Skinner. And that I would shift more towards like the classic rock, and I learned to kind of like designate 80s or excuse me, separate classic rock from 80s rock, and then 80s hair, and then 80s punk, and you know what I mean? It's wild.
Totally, man. Yeah, and that's I mean, how fortunate are we just to have so many these massive bands out there from all these different subgenres. I mean, I think about that all the time. It's like, dude. And, another thing that I think about, you just got me onto something, is that think about how early on in the timeline we are for music. I'm talking about the whole scope of humanity now. You think about it, I mean, 100 years ago, only 100 years ago is not a long time. It was, what, 1918?
Yeah.
What music was out then compared to what there is now? So for me, it's so exciting to think, oh my goodness, we're only 100 years on the timeline. What's going to happen the next 100 years, the next 100 years, the next 100 years? And another thing that I do think about often in terms of the timeline, it's like, holy crap, I'm alive in the same era that all these legends are still alive. Because no one else is going to be able to say, yo, I was alive when Van Halen was. I was alive when Guns N' Roses was. So I just think we're so lucky to still be learning from all these people, who are still out here doing it. And, like, for example, Metallica. It's like only so many amount of people are going to be able to say, I was alive when Metallica was around. So
I know.
I feel really fortunate to, be around now. And when all these bands are still, they're still here and they're still doing it.
Yeah. And I mean, even just experiencing, the positivity of knowing that, David is still kicking, and it's insane to go from even that, and then even experiencing, not going to negative, but even experiencing like the loss of Tom Petty, Malcolm Young. First, I was extremely broken up, man, over when I found out that Tom Petty was dead. I was upset. I love Tom Petty.
Yeah, dude, absolutely terrible. It's like Tom Petty, and then it was Chester Bennington, Chris Cornell, and it's been so many. And unfortunately, a lot of these legends who we all listened to growing up, they're getting to that age now, and it's so incredibly sad. Yeah.
Yet Betty White is somehow still making moves, and she's
Good.
like really old.
that should continue. That's fantastic.
That's too funny. But no, dude, I totally agree with you. I think it's so. It is. I think about that all the time too, because I think about it with anything. I mean, whether it be with something that happened years ago. When we're learning about. I remember I was in school. We were learning about stuff with civil rights, and then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, like this really isn't that old. You know what I mean? Like we can't really date this stuff. And then even like how you're saying with music, it's nuts because everything's still kind of getting played. So even though per se, you and I weren't born in the 1980s. Like you had said, your parents love all the classic rock, all the old school stuff, as do mine. We grew up with that, and I feel like a lot of kids in our generation as well have grown up with that.
Absolutely, yeah. And you think about it, I mean, all these pioneers of modern music as we know it now, what are they, 1-2 generations old at most? That is never going to be able to they'll never be recreated. I mean, you think of, from Metallica to, all these bands who are forefronters of their genre. Dude, Metallica's going to inspire bands hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years from now. So it's cool for me. We're on the cutting edge of, just how music has been shaped this far, and, no one else will be able to relive it like we did, So I feel really fortunate to be around now.
No, same here. Who would you say would be, like, if you had to choose a pioneer right off the top of your head who changed the world, what would you say?
For music or for general?
For music. We could do music first. I mean, then if we want to do general.
Oh, man. I can think of a million. Man, a pioneer. I think for metal, I mean, there's Metallica before that. Motorhead was going. I was just listening to a podcast of James Hetfield, and he was saying, without Motorhead, there'd be no Metallica.
Wow.
Dude, look, I mean, just think about that statement. Think about what Metallica did how we know metal now. I don't think any metal would be the same right now without just Metallica. And without Motorhead, there'd be no Metallica. So, dude, I mean, for me, I know that's what did it for me, and I know that's what made me want to play drums and me want to play music was, the heavier stuff. So you trace it back and you see all that came from Metallica, and before that it came from Motorhead. For me, that's it for me.
I think my icon, I think it would, dude, I'd have to go with Jim Morrison.
Oh, dude. Absolutely. See, that's the thing. You can't narrow it down just to one or two. I mean, that's the thing. You're so right. Jim Morrison. Absolutely, dude. He changed so much. And the crazy thing about him, he was so young when he passed. Yeah. So imagine what he would have come out if he lived longer. So he got all that done in just span of, just a few years, relatively speaking.
I think it's I mean, I have always looked at that era, and I mean, with the Gap as well, as Jim Morrison, my top three guys who would be musical geniuses, and obviously there's more, but a lot of this also comes from my dad. He used to say it, but I like said to myself, I'm like, wow, like this is totally true. You got Jim Morrison, you got Freddie Mercury, and you got Cobain. Geniuses, dude. People who could see into something that some people could not. You know what I mean? It was very weird how, I don't know. I mean, it just even some predictions that per se like Kurt Cobain had made and stuff that Jim Morrison was saying, at that point in time, the wrong person could have thought they were absolutely crazy. But unless you were listening to them and actually opening your mind to what they were saying, they were changing the world.
Absolutely. And they all died young. It's so sad. Because
it is.
Because you can think of, oh my goodness, that was only X amount of their life. Imagine what, they would have created if, they could have lived longer. It's crazy. It's madness.
Absolutely, man. And by the way, are you pumped up? Are you going to go see the new movie? What's it, Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh, when does that come out? I think
it comes out pretty soon.
I saw that. I saw a preview for it in theaters. Yes, I'm pumped up for that. Queen is a huge influence on me, dude. Even down to, obviously as songwriting and, Freddie, obviously, but even down to their drumming. Just, I forget their drummer's name. I know it. I just presently forget it. But, dude, Queen is a massive influence. So, yes, totally I'm going to go see that movie.
Why is Queen an influence for you, per se?
They were. I remember when I was young, I was still learning drums. I don't know, I was probably 11 or 12 maybe. Um, and I think it's in Bohemian Rhapsody because obviously that's the first song everyone hears. But I was listening to that full song probably with my parents, and there was just particular stuff on the drums where, the drums follow a lot of the vocals in that song. They do a lot of tom work where they're following the vocals, and the drummer wasn't doing traditional beats. Like I always thought drums needed to be just like boom, check, boom, boom, check, boom, check, boom, boom, check. But this drummer was doing stuff to follow Freddie with his voice, and he was doing a lot of, like I said, tom stuff. And it really just made me think about drums differently. And that was the first time I thought, wow, if I play a drum set, it just doesn't need to be a straightforward beat the whole time. Like I can be creative and do other stuff. And that was the first time I thought about that as a young kid. And then, I don't know, there's different small things that the drummer does that I love. Like most of the time when he hits the snare, he opens his hi-hat just a little bit. Just little tiny nuanced stuff like that. I just love when I find that stuff out about people.
I agree, and I think and it's funny how you say that, like how the drummer was following Freddie's voice. It's just I just can't even like process the thought of how he was able to do that. How they were able to have that connection, and I mean, yeah, with practice, but it's just incredible, and it's just we're looking at the greats, and they're making movies after them, and it's fully acknowledged, the greats and the greats and the greats, and it's insane how they were able to get so much done in so small of time. You know what I mean? It's very weird to me.
Totally. Yep. So right.
And it's a cool thing just looking back at everything. And it's funny how you say with Bohemian Rhapsody, so much stuff. I was just watching Wayne's World the other night.
Yes, it's amazing.
I love Wayne's World, dude. It's so good. And it's just wild to kind of see the transition of how other people adapted to stuff and how, they use songs for movies, and it's all just, I think music is just so cool.
Agreed. Fully agreed. Absolutely, man. I mean, yeah, it's just, for me, the coolest thing about music, or one of the coolest things, is just, if you think, like, dude, like, you can turn on any particular song that's nostalgic for you, and you can remember to a T details from, like, what you were doing in your life from, like, 10, 15 years ago, just by listening to this music that you listened to when you were younger. And that happens to me all the time. I'll be in the radio and a song will come on that I haven't heard in, 10 plus years. And I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. It brings back all these memories. Like, only music can do that for me. It's so special, I think. And also how powerful it is. I think it's so much more powerful what it does to your brain than we even know right now. So it's definitely something I'll never take for granted.
I 100% agree. And did you at all, by the way, I want to jump back real quick to when you were on tour. When you were going over to certain parts of the world, did you at all kind of put yourself in the shoes of, the guys who have gone to those places before in the different years of time and kind of like say to them, yourself, like, wow, he's been here. He's been here doing the same thing that I'm doing, and showing what I love to do and giving people something to hold on to.
Yeah, that first happened to me even when I was younger, and I think I played where was it? Even like the first real show I played, I thought that it was in Dallas in a neighborhood called Deep Ellum, and I was probably 14, 15 years old, and it was my first real show, and it was just in this crappy club, probably 500 people at most could fit in there. And I remember I was think of all the bands that I've played in here. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. All the movement and all the impact that has been done in there. And then I was able to play there. Now currently, playing these bigger festivals in Europe, it's crazy how much has been accomplished, in all these festivals in Europe. And it's like now me playing, some of the same stages as these artists that I've looked up to. It's absolutely surreal for me.
Do you think that music also, I know it has in the past, do you think that music, with kind of how the world is at its place right now, do you think music would be a vital piece of, let's say, even resource equipment to pull people together.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it already does pull people together. I mean, just step out of your house for 10 minutes and go driving on the road, and it's just madness. At least where I live, I'm in Los Angeles, so it's probably a little different. But I'm just saying my point is just the anger and hostility, just like everyone and how it is just living. It's like so many people are angry at each other, so many fights, so many disagreements. You go to a concert, it can be 20,000 people. Everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone's singing along. Everyone's happy. Everyone's best friends. So I don't know too many things that can bring people together like that other than music. So for me, definitely, I think it can solve a lot of things.
Brandon, I never even asked you this, man. Have you ever been on the Sunset Strip?
Yeah.
Dude, what is that like?
Yeah.
The whiskey and stuff still there, isn't it?
Yeah, the whiskey's still there. I mean, I played the whiskey for the first time years ago before I was living in LA.
You played in it?
Oh, I played in yeah. I mean, yeah, 1, 2, probably more than 5 times now.
Oh my God, dude, that's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I think personally, to me, the coolest thing about it is the history. You know, like you were mentioning Van Halen a lot. You know, Van Halen obviously played there early on. And just looking at the bands who have played there and the fact that it's still there standing is the coolest thing to me. You know, but it's sad on the Sunset Strip because a lot of those like iconic venues are getting torn down. You know, I think, you know, House of Blues there was just torn down. And not that that's necessarily an iconic venue, but it was a huge venue on the Strip. And that got torn down to put a hotel there. I don't know. I heard talk that the whiskey is, you know, planning to get torn down, and I don't know if that's true or not.
Oh,
I've heard that for a few years now, but to me, that's what makes that neighborhood special is those particular venues, and you need that. If you replace them all with hotels and stuff, I don't know where's the history anymore? You know, what's special about it anymore? But yeah, the Sunset Strip. I mean, I don't know. How it is now. It's, you know, if I was alive in the 70s and 80s and I was there, it'd probably be a whole different story. Because I think that's where all the magic was, you know, back then when everything was going on and there was just bands all over playing it. But, you know, now I think it's cool because the whiskey's still there. But that's about it. It's a little too crazy for me. I don't go there unless I absolutely need to be there. The Sunset Strip, at least.
Do they ever have like cover 80s bands come in and play at, per se, the whiskey, and you know what I mean?
All the time. All the time. And out here in LA, there's you know, I think it's called Ultimate Jam Night, and it's there's another one. There's a few of them, but they have a lot of these you know, touring musicians and these well-known session players, and they play these covers weekly, and it's really cool. And it's a really cool environment to go to. I think it's every Wednesday night. I might be totally wrong. It might be on a different day. But it's really cool. It's just a cool environment because there's all these touring musicians, all these session players who are out playing covers at the Whiskey every week. And I've done that a couple times, but it's just a great environment to go and meet people and just, you know, meet friends in your industry. So, yeah, it's cool they're still doing that because there needs to be more of a community. You know, because I would, you know, I wouldn't hesitate to think that in the 70s and 80s there was a whole lot more of that going on. So to bring, you know, that back is really cool to me.
Oh man, if only it could go back to that time down in there. That would be. I just feel like that would be everything in any movie that they ever made based down.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. If only. But at the same time, you know, I'm really. You know, it's a whole other thing. It's like, you know, the whole internet thing right now. Some people love it. Some people hate it, you know, with pirating music and YouTube and everything. But, dude, for all the bad stuff about, you know, being able to steal music and everything on the internet, dude, think about all the good stuff on there. I mean, I learned how to play drums off of YouTube videos, you know. Right now I'm learning piano off of YouTube videos. All the gigs I have now, my career right now is because of the internet. You know, so it's like, man, what if we went back to the 70s or 80s and saw all that? But I'm like, I don't know. I think we live in a really exciting time right now. And I think we're on, you know, the forefront of, you know, how it's changing and how it's developing and how you can meet people now and get opportunities. So I don't know. I think there's very special things about both eras.
I agree with you. I think an 8-track and a can of Budweiser can only take me so far for so long.
Yes.
Till I'm like, I miss the computer.
Exactly.
That's too funny, man. Well, shit, dude, it was awesome having you back on the show. You got anything else big coming up? Anything else planned, or are you just kind of taking it easy right now?
No, not. I mean, taking it easy for a couple of weeks, not too long though. Coming up, I'm doing a run opening for Marilyn Manson.
Oh, wow,
Um,
that's sweet.
yeah, that's going to be in late October. I think it's about a week and a half long. It's in the southeast U.S. So I think we're doing like Nashville, Knoxville, Tennessee, Memphis, Alabama, some days in Florida with him. So that'll be really cool. And then after that, I think we might be doing some stuff in Europe. But that's about it for this year. You know, I think this year's wrapping down for the most part. But this year so far has been a great one. I mean, I played my first arena this year, which was just a dream come true for me. Suicidal Tendencies had me play a show with them.
Oh, wow.
Because their drummer, Dave Lombardo, had a conflict that night. So did a show with them in New Jersey at the arena. So really just right now I'm just, taking a little time off, just being super thankful for everything that's gone on this year. And then, like I said, doing the Manson run and then some Europe stuff. And then that'll be the end of this year.
Incredible, man. Well, hey, dude, we got to keep them going. We got to get the third one in, whenever we make it happen. But Brandon, dude, always an honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear that everything is going incredible, and I wish you the best with everything that's coming up, man. You rock.
Thank you, man. Likewise. Let's do a third one. I'm down for it.
Sounds good, brother. Rock on.
Yep. See you, man.
Yep.